The hidden cost of staying too comfortable. Comfort feels safe. It feels predictable. It feels like a reward for years of effort. But beneath its surface lies a quiet danger, a slow drift that can keep us in places we've outgrown without ever realizing it. And for one person, that drift became the force that nearly held them back from the future they were meant to create. Comfortable careers are often praised as success stories, a steady role, a familiar routine, a workplace that feels like home. In a world overflowing with uncertainty, this kind of stability seems enviable, but stability has a shadow. When it lasts too long, it can blur ambition, silence curiosity, and soften the urge to grow. Their life looked good from the outside. They had a job that worked, a rhythm that made sense, a team that appreciated them. Nothing was wrong, and that was the problem. Nothing was pushing them forward. The absence of friction became the absence of evolution. At first, they didn't notice. Comfort is subtle. It disguises itself as satisfaction. But over time, they began to feel something shift. Not dramatically, just a faint sense of stagnation that appeared in quiet moments. A thought that whispered, "Is this really it?" They brushed it aside. Why question what was working? Why disrupt the familiar? But the whisper kept returning, revealing itself as a sign of something deeper. A part of them was ready for more, even if the rest of them resisted the idea. The first crack in the comfort came from an unexpected source, a task, small and routine, that suddenly felt heavier than it should have. They sensed a restlessness they couldn't explain, the beginning of an internal shift they were not yet prepared to face. And in that subtle discomfort, the hidden cause of staying too comfortable began to reveal itself. The restlessness didn't fade. It threaded itself into every part of their routine. At work, they moved through familiar tasks with precision shaped by years of repetition, yet something felt dimmed. The spark that once made even simple work feel meaningful had softened to a quiet glow. They weren't unhappy. They were simply unchallenged. And that subtle difference created a weight they struggled to name. They began noticing how predictability shaped their days. Every week looked like the one before it. Every project followed the same pattern. Every achievement felt like a copy of the last. Comfort had become a loop, and though it was safe, it offered no sense of momentum. The absence of struggle meant the absence of growth. Still, they hesitated to act. After all, comfort wasn't a trap. It was a choice that many people longed for. They reminded themselves that things could be far worse. Yet the deeper truth was that something inside them was slowly shrinking. Dreams they once carried with energy now felt distant, almost muted, as if waiting for an invitation to return. This internal conflict grew sharper when they watched others take risks. Colleagues pursuing new paths, friends learning new skills, people daring to chase futures filled with uncertainty. Their reaction surprised them. It wasn't jealousy, it was recognition, a quiet acknowledgement that they, too, once wanted more. The breaking point came in a moment most would call insignificant. During a meeting, as plans were repeated for the 100th time, they felt a sudden disconnect. They realized they could predict every outcome, every challenge, every next step. Nothing in their current world asked them to stretch, to imagine, to evolve. And in that realization, discomfort finally overpowered complacency. They began to see the truth they had resisted. Staying too comfortable had a cost, not in failure or loss, but in missed potential. Potential that would remain locked away unless they found the courage to step beyond what felt safe. Once they acknowledged the cost of their comfort, the conflict sharpened. Their familiar routine, once reassuring, now felt like a gentle cage. Nothing was wrong. Everything felt slightly off, as if their life had settled into a shape too small for who they were becoming. They moved through their days with quiet competence, but part of them remained untouched, unstretched, unseen. The realization stirred a storm of questions. How long had they been trading growth for safety? When did stability become stagnation? And why did the idea of change feel both exciting and impossible at the same time? These questions followed them everywhere. During commutes, in conversations, in silent moments when they faced themselves more honestly than they ever had before. The emotional tension grew heavier with each passing week. Staying felt easier, but also emptier. Leaving felt terrifying, but also alive. They felt torn between two selves, the one who valued security and the one who feared waking up years later wondering where their potential had gone. The struggle was not about choosing a job. It was about choosing a life. The conflict reached a peak one evening while they were working late. The office was quiet, the hum of lights overhead the only sound. In front of them sat a project they could complete with their eyes closed. They had done versions of it countless times. There was no challenge left, no surprise, no stretch. As they looked at the work, a sinking realization washed over them. They weren't growing anymore. They were maintaining. That moment hit harder than they expected, not because the work was dull, but because it reflected a deeper truth. They had outgrown the limits they once accepted. Their ambitions, once vibrant, now felt silent from lack of use. And the life they were living, as stable as it was, no longer aligned with the person they were becoming. Fear rose quickly after that moment. Fear of change, fear of regret, fear of stepping into a world where nothing was guaranteed. But beneath that fear was something stronger, a pulse of desire for something bigger than comfort, a desire to evolve, a desire to rediscover the spark that had dimmed but never disappeared. The realization didn't solve the conflict. It magnified it. Because once you see the truth about your own potential, you can't unsee it. And every day you stay too comfortable becomes another reminder of the future you risk losing. They reached a moment when staying still no longer felt neutral. It felt like a choice with consequences. The comfort they once treated as a reward had become a barrier, keeping them from the parts of life that demanded courage, imagination, and growth. And with that realization came a quiet resolve. They couldn't remain where they were. So they made a decision, not a dramatic leap, not a sudden exit, but a single deliberate step toward a future that felt more honest. They enrolled in a course. They reached out to someone whose work inspired them. They explored paths that once felt too daring to consider. Each small action widened the edges of their world, loosening the grip of comfort and awakening the ambition that had been waiting beneath the surface. As they moved forward, their fear didn't disappear, but something else grew stronger, a sense of alignment, a sense of possibility, a sense that life was expanding instead of repeating. And in that expansion, they discovered a truth they had forgotten. Growth doesn't happen in the familiar. It happens in the uncertain. In time, their journey took them into a new role, one that challenged them in ways the old one never could. It demanded more of them, but it also gave more in return. Their creativity deepened. Their confidence grew. Their vision sharpened. They felt alive again in a way only change can make us feel. Looking back, they understood the hidden cost of staying too comfortable. It wasn't boredom or stagnation. It was a slow erosion of potential, the quiet silencing of dreams that needed room to breathe. And once they stepped beyond that comfort, they realized how much of their future had been waiting on the other side. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future.